Uh, you know, I think you get a chance to watch the film afterwards. There were some things I thought were positive after the game we could visit with on the guys, but after watching film, I think there was even some more positives to take from it, from our game last night with Milwaukee. I think some physicality and length really bothered us. There was some things last night we saw from a couple guys that maybe we haven't seen in practice a lot lately. And we just got to clean it up. I just didn't feel like we were all working together as much, and I think Milwaukee sometimes gets credit for that. I think the defense gets credit for that sometimes. I thought our effort was good. Rebounding was fairly strong, and I thought the guys played hard. I thought our bench gave us some lifts. Paul Bruns kind of comes to mind off the bench. He's a freshman playing in his first Division I basketball game. I thought he did some nice things, played with confidence, played with some good pace. And then Brian Matthews is a true freshman, great energy, really good efforts, a lot to learn. He plays physical. He got a couple fouls just trying to post. He's learning. But those are fun things to see. I thought Sotne T did a really good job playing really hard. Size hurt us in there, and our zone 1 finishes. We were, if you add it up, I think 12 of 40 from 2. I think that's right. 12 of 40 from the 2, and we've got to be better than that inside. We missed a lot of easy ones, and we missed some great looks from 3. So frustrating in those aspects, but I just think there were some real positives to take from it as well.
Are you able to take positives of guarding a guy like Patrick Baldwin and now using that going forward when you face these number 1 guys on other teams?
Yeah, we're going to come across a few guys that I think are really high-level players. I think for his size and skill and what he can do, we're not going to see many better than that, right? He made a couple shots that you look, when you're watching on film, you look and you say, you know what? I don't know if we can guard that much better than what we did. He just happens to be a guy that has a tremendous skill set and can make difficult shots. Like that finish he made at the end of the first half. He had that thing so far out, and he puts it off the glass for a nice little lay-in. So, and we did some good things against him. But for sure, there's some things to take from that. I thought, we felt kind of going in Golston was a key because he has that scoring mentality. I thought we did a decent job with him too, but his physicality hurt us. We're just not real big. Our backcourts, our guards just aren't really big and physical like that, and I think he took advantage of that somewhat. But, they got it going a little bit offensively, made some shots in the second half. We still hold them to 43%, but they got to the free throw line too much, and we didn't get there enough. So there's good things to take, but there's a lot of things we got to learn from and get better on with that.
It felt like you guys, especially in the first 10, you were creating opportunities with steals or blocks or whatever, just not able to finish it on the offensive side of things. Kind of what are some frustrations there?
Well, I think some of the frustrating things are we had the right play there, and we didn't make it. Like we tried to make some tough shots, some tough twos or some quick shots or some tough shots where if you make the right decision and the quick decision, we had wide open threes or layups. And so, like, those are things we've got to learn and grow from. Like, we can't and those are things I think in practice we've been doing a pretty good job of. But you're not simulating 6'10", 7 foot out there like, pretty much how they started. So that length, and I think when they went with a smaller lineup, honestly, with Vin Baker out there with Baldwin, that's a very difficult lineup to match. And but yeah, things to take, but we left opportunities out there. A lot of finishes around the rim, but there's just tough shots we tried taking when we had guys wide open on the perimeter. And we've been making the right play mostly in practice with that, but we didn't last night.
How do you get them to kind of, crispen that up? As you mentioned, you guys were doing well with it in practice. How do you get them to do that?
Yeah, it's doing it when the lights are on and maybe the intensity is a little different. I think, obviously Milwaukee puts a lineup on the floor that's different than what we see in practice every day. And so it's handling that and then learning, seeing the film, learning from it, and then doing a better job when we play Montana next week. Because Montana's, as good as Milwaukee is, and they're very talented, especially on the offensive side of it, Montana, you kind of turn the table a little bit where I'm sure they're a good offensive team, but man, defensively is where they hang their hat. So we're going to see a lot more of a physical style and a defensive mindset in Montana a week from now. So, we need to be ready to make good decisions offensively.
You mentioned that Montana game, stifling defense. What kind of things do you want to clean up before you head into that matchup?
We didn't turn it over a lot. So a lot of it is just playing with better pace. And in that pace, finding the right play, finding the open man. And I'm talking offense right now. Defensively, ball screen defense has got to clean up. We made some mistakes defensively with our ball screen. We made a change later in the second half, and we probably should have made that change a little bit earlier in our ball screen coverage. And that's on me. But they were able to get, in our one coverage, they were able to get some throwback threes. I thought we got there a couple times, but they still made those shots. And we probably need to make that change a little bit earlier, but we got to clean up our ball screen defense. But we're going to need to sit down and guard and go against the Montana team that isn't necessarily just a ball screen heavy team. We're going to need to sit down and guard, but we got to take care of the ball and get great shots against those guys. So it's just continually get better and pace. When you have the ball, and pace when you don't have the ball. Get into space, creating more space for guys. I just felt like we at times last night didn't do a great job of that. We held it too long. We bounced it. We over-bounced it a few times. And when you do that, you give your defense a chance to react more. And so we just weren't as crisp as we need to be.
The Bruns kid played a little bit more than he did in May.
Sure did.
Is there something that you see in practice that showed you that he was ready for that, or is that matchup sting?
Yeah, he hurt his hand, a couple weeks ago. And that he tried playing through it, and then he took about a week off. So a little bit of that coming off that and everything else. I think there were some other guys kind of there that had been practicing a little bit better at that point in time. But what we saw before that, we knew that it's going to be coming for him. He was really practicing at a pretty good level before he hurt his wrist. So we were pretty confident that he, this didn't surprise me last night. Like we kind of known what we've been seeing from him. The Mayville one, yeah, like I said, I think there were some other guys with some other opportunities, and that game was different than what we thought how it might play out, and we ended up going with more experienced guys in that game. But boy, we've been happy with Paul, and obviously he carried over what he's been able to do in practice last night. And again, for another freshman in Brian Matthews, I loved his energy. I thought both of those two guys for playing their first Division I game just did Brian to have, I think, seven rebounds, 4 of which were offensive, and 2 assists. Did a nice job with that stuff.
What's the biggest advantage of having a schedule that allows you to be home a little bit more than in the last few years? It feels like a lot of travel involved in that.
Yeah, they got to sleep in their own beds last night. We're having a normal day today where the guys are going to class. We're going to be able to watch film. And when you're traveling, a lot of times we're traveling a day after the game. So that day off kind of becomes, you use that as a day off a lot, the travel days. Where this day after, we can use it as a work day and they can still get a day off tomorrow. So you can utilize your day off however you want. It's just when you're at home, getting in your own beds, kind of having a normal schedule. Being a student athlete where you're going to class and not having to worry about making stuff up, I think it makes a big difference. It takes a little bit of those stressors off that kind of go along with spending a lot of time on the road.
Anything else for Coach? Zach, do you have anything on Zoom? All right, I think we're good.
Yeah, just one quick thing here, Coach. Do you like having this little break here in between games, between Montana and where you were last night, just to be able to work on those things that you maybe thought were weaknesses pointed out?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the break is long enough to where, we can get a good day off. We like today, we can really go back and learn from this game today through film, get some stuff, get some time on the court, but then really utilize a day off with 3 days of practice to prepare again. So yeah, the time frame of it, you try to schedule the best you can, and I think this time period is really good to have, especially because we're not traveling as well. So.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.